Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and whisper it, Bradley, but I think this weekend might just be the first beer garden weekend of the year.
No way. Apparently the weather is going to be good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 16 or 17 degrees up where I am, and that's way up north.
Yeah, you are basically up north at this point.
So they use sparklers around where I am.
Yeah, I think I saw... Did they really? Did they actually use sparklers around?
No, that's complete bullshit.
That would be pretty interesting.
I mean, 5 Points use sparklers, so and that's not even North London.
It's not. You've made me lose my track, but yeah, I think.
Oh well, how does that feel, Bradley?
It's
taking sweet revenge. 200 episodes in, I've derailed your derailment.
I think you're right. It's probably going to be beer weather. I read it's going to be hotter than I think the south of France this weekend in the UK.
Come on.
Which sounds like made up. How can that be? But I'll take it. I think I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't just signed an agreement to all defend each other against Russia. We're left out of that one, but at least it's a little bit warmer. It'll be really warm when the nuclear bombs drop.
Oh dear! Look, can we move swiftly past that? I'm feeling jittery enough as it is right now, but to think about nuclear. There's a new computer game coming out actually, which I saw, which is it's set in Cumbria or the Lake District, and it's like a post-nuclear world game, a bit like Fallout, but set in the north of England, which looks cool. But it's
sounds if the world's ended, I think that's a nice place to go live out your final days.
Yeah.
I presume if it's a computer game, it's not all roses and
definitely not. It
lovely
looks
views.
I saw some clips of it, and it's got a very folklore kind of look about it. Like you're walking around first person shooter style, and then you turn around and there's a dude wearing a sort of like Morris sort of outfit with a wooden face mask who hits you on the head with something. So
I've always thought you got to be careful with Morris dancers.
That looks pretty cool. But apparently it was our biggest nuclear disaster was up. I think it was the Peak District or the Lake District. Anyway, it's called. It's got a funny name. Can't remember it. I haven't researched it for this. But anyway, side tangent. Looking forward to the weather, Johnny. I'm headed to Margate. Hopefully, I'm going to be drinking a pint of cask, looking at a sunset. That'd be nice. What about you? What are you up to?
Well, I'm doing usual dad stuff: kids, parties, soft plays.
Soft play. The band? Soft play the band?
No, very much not.
Okay.
Very much actual waterproof sponges covered in germs.
Are you going to be like Mark from Peep Show and hide in the ball pit? You were telling me that there's a particularly good soft play that does very good food.
Yeah. Well, it does better food than the other soft play. Is the truth of
you
that.
said it.
Yeah.
You said it was like gourmet. Tell me about the food offering at the best Hertfordshire has to offer in terms of ball pits.
Well, I mean, it does a decent jacket potato.
Oh, that was it. It was the Jackie P. I remember you saying,
yeah,
like a £5 Jackie P, fully loaded.
Exactly.
Not bad.
Yeah,
not bad.
tuna and sweet corn, and then you get your cheese on the side in case you're watching your weight, and you get a great salad, a really great honey and mustard salad
Wow.
next to it.
What a time to be alive when you can get like really great Jackie P at a.
I know,
I,
yeah.
I guess it helps you go into like a sort of carb coma while you're trying to drown out the screams of kids.
It's actually kind of the opposite because it fills you up so much, and then your kid says like, "Hey, Daddy, come see this," and they're way at the top of the soft play, like 4 levels up.
Yeah.
And you start climbing, thinking I'm not feeling too good. I'm not certain this Jackie P's going to stay where it needs to be.
So you get to go into the soft play as well. I've never been.
It's the only reason I go, so that I can go in. I love soft play.
Oh, wow, cool,
I've said that it's going to be boring. I've been a bit bravado-ish there. I quite enjoy running around soft play.
Yeah.
You get to go on some really big slides.
I've never been in a soft play since being a child, but you just made me think of Laser Quest and how much I used to enjoy Laser Quest.
Oh, yeah.
I reckon I'd still very much enjoy Laser Quest. I used to be very good at it. I'm a good shot. When I was a youth, my dad had shotguns, so I learned. Well, I went clay shooting a little bit. I remember we went on a clay shooting holiday once, me and my dad, and I had a little bit of training. And the trainer guy said, he said you've got potential to go on if you took this serious, maybe go on to be pretty good, like kind of hot shot style. So yeah, I'm good. I'm a crack shot basically, Johnny.
I'm like I went on a stag do years ago.
Yeah.
Where we did clay pigeon shooting, and everybody on the stag do, despite being hungover to hell, was so good at it that I started to suspect that they were like exploding the discs to make people feel better about themselves when they leave.
It is a shotgun, so it does spray quite wide, but also it depends on the sort of type of clay that's being thrown up. You get ones that bounce along the floor. You get ones that go real high and slow. You get ones that sort of slice across real fast. And yeah, so they might have just been bopping up a load of ones that just go high and slow, and like kind of across.
Yeah, but even so, if you'd seen how much my hands were shaking that morning, you'd be like, I'm not sure. I was uncertain I'd be able to hold the gun.
It's not a great. I mean, it's a cool thing to do when you're hungover, but is it a sensible thing to do? I'm not sure.
No.
But I used to.
No, I didn't think it was. We also did go-karting, so there's a bunch of mid early 30s people under the influence still probably driving.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, we've derailed the derailment and then derailed that one. Let's get into some beer news, shall we? Because we've got some genuine beer news, and we've obviously got some very exciting news of some filming we've been doing this week. So I don't want to get bogged down in clay pigeon shooting on stag do's. It's not what I have written down here as the plan for the pod.
Okay.
Although why I still write down a plan, I don't know. It's futile. What news have you found out in the world of beer?
Oh, there's all sorts of news, Johnny. There's some sad news about some retiring Shire horses that from Wadworth Brewery. They were going to build them a new place to live. What's that called? A barn? I don't know what it's called. Where do the horses live?
Well, a field, hopefully.
Well, they live in what's the building called? I'm having a brain freeze. I'm still thinking about Jackie P's. They were going to build a new stable site as they moved their heritage brewery site out of the town of the centre of town of Devizes, but it became too complicated and too expensive to deliver by Dre anymore. So they're retiring the horses, and they get to go and live in Wales.
Well, I think it was the cost of the actual new build stable, right? Yeah, rather than the delivery of the horses. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the new build and the fact they've moved where their brewery is as well is what I.
Oh right, so the horses had further to go.
They're further to go, but what a shame. I mean, we've been lucky enough on our journeys to ride on the back of a Dre delivery with the beautiful Shire boys. And there's a great photo on BBC web news BBC Web News, BBC Web News, Johnny. I love horses as well. By the way, I don't even really said about this, but I really like horses, and he's absolutely loving drinking a pint of Wadworth right there.
What do you mean you love horses? I don't think you've talked about horses to me before.
I don't
ever.
No, I haven't really. I really like them. I think they're amazing animals. They're so emotionally intelligent. And
when did you last ride a horse, Bradley?
Fantastic. Not for a long time ago, and it really hurt my bollocks when I did.
Oh,
ride
okay,
them.
good. Glad I asked. Yep.
Yeah. So that's probably put me off. But I know you went riding as a cowboy when you went out to Texas, living your best.
Yeah, ridden through hill country. Yeah,
pretty cool, pretty amazing. Yeah, I
also had a mad school trip where we did a horse ride through. Oh God, what's the mountain range in Spain?
Oh wow.
It's not going to come, but yeah, we went on a geography school trip to Spain, and it was pretty cowboy as well, but not in a good way. It was pretty terrifying. Like, we were just thrown onto horses and told follow, and we were like, I don't know how to do this. I think it was the only time, maybe the first time I'd ever ridden a horse. Wow. And it was truly terrifying.
Apparently, Spain is one of the most mountainous countries in Europe, which I didn't know. There you go. I would have just assumed it would be Austria, Switzerland, I guess bits of France, because it's all around the Alps. But yeah, apparently it's one of the most mountainous.
It's a pretty non-committal thing to...
That is a non-committal thing, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, I guess it probably doesn't have the tallest ones.
No, but it's mountainous.
But maybe it does have... Yeah.
But that sounds amazing. Riding through mountains in Spain on a horse. Awesome. I think
it was very, very cool.
My school trips weren't as glamorous as that. I went to Borrowdale in the Lake District or Peak District and got kicked in the shins in some sort of wrestle to the death match. I can't even remember what the game was, but yeah, it was like an Outward Bounds thing I went on. We walked up Scarfell Pike, and
been up there.
I thought I was going to die. It was pretty cold and wet, and I was pretty tired.
I've hiked up there, and it started snowing while we were up there, and we lost the path, which was pretty terrifying.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, I don't know what I would have done if I lost the path that day. I'd already lost the plot. So but I like horses, Johnny. I very much enjoyed the Lloyd's advert horses when it used to be a small little black horse, like a baby horse, a foal that was running. I always enjoy it. It's very poetic. Thought it was great. But anyway, we've got some beer news, haven't we, Johnny?
Well, yeah, just for a sec, just before we get into the beer news, I've just been Googling how tall the highest mountains are. And the highest one, which is actually in the Canary Islands, is 3,700 metres. And the tallest one on mainland Spain is 3,400. So these are not small mountains. And neither of them are in the Pyrenees, which is where I would assume the tallest mountains would have been.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty mountainous country. We learn something new every day. Yeah. Let's get into the beer news then. So, yeah, Wadworth sadly closing their stables, retiring their horses to Wales. Nice enough place to go if you're going to retire.
Yeah, I know, right?
Which may even just leave... Would it just leave Hook Norton as the only Shire horse?
Oh, we don't know that.
Shire horses in brewing?
We can't say that. Surely there's more than just Hooky at this point. There has to be.
I'm not sure there are. I can't think of any other breweries that were doing it.
There's got to be. Johnny.
It was just them and Wadworth.
Wow. I mean, there is a real loss, mate. I can imagine that greatly pained everyone. Imagine the guy that is the driver. The Dre Horseman. That's his whole life. There's probably his buddies. Well, they are his buddies.
Maybe he's going to Wales with them. Maybe he's retiring too.
Do you think they're going to shoot? So. They're going to shoot them all in the head with a shotgun off of your your stag do. They're sending
retiring them off retiring to Wales is not Johnny. A euphemism for being shot in the head.
That's a euphemism if ever there was one. We're retiring you to Wales, guys. Dark.
Wow.
Sorry, bit dark.
Yeah, this has gone dark. Let's get some levity. Yeah. Some levity in there. We've got a wonderful new campaign from the BBPA this week, haven't we?
We have. It's less booze than bread. Government urged to change description rules as many supermarket staples can contain more alcohol than no alcohol beers. apparently we've got one of the strictest non-alcoholic thresholds in the world at 0.05%, Johnny. Which means that supermarket staples such as yogurt and bread can contain more alcohol than non-alcohol beer. And the BPPA are calling on the government to change descriptions to support public health goals, and so the public have a greater variety of non-alcohol beers. So are they saying that it should just be de-restricted totally at that percentage? Like there shouldn't be any kind of messaging on it about it being bad for you? Because
No, they're just because the phrase "no alcohol" in most of Europe applies at 0.5%.
Yeah, and ours is
It has to be 0.05 in the UK. Otherwise, you have to call it low alcohol.
Yeah.
So it feels a little bit like they're making a mountain out of a molehill here, because I'm not sure that people necessarily understand the difference or really care. But I do understand the frustration with it in that, and this is what I love about this campaign, is the fact it's going to cause lots of people to sort of wrinkle their brows and start looking at the ingredients of yogurt and bread, because and orange juice as well. Most people don't realise that there is alcohol in so many different products.
Yeah. I mean, I thought are they not saying that they should have some sort of alcohol warnings on your sourdough bread? And
I don't think the BBPA would be so bold as to suggest that the entirety of the baking industry needs to change their packaging.
I'm going to say it. Tropicana, you should have be careful while driving warning. Because if you chug,
well, I mean,
big Tropicana that's been sat in your car for like, I don't know why you would, but a couple of days in the heat, maybe it's going to get you a bit tipsy.
I don't think it will get to that point.
Mm.
I don't think you could get drunk on... Well,
prison
really
wine.
Old orange juice, maybe.
Prison wine, like prison wine vibes, maybe.
I don't know about that, but I think it's just interesting that there is a mainstream campaign that does say like bread has alcohol in, and I can't wait for the reactions online to that. I think that's going to be great fun.
Yeah,
and I think that it would be, I guess, fair for 0.5% to be able to say no alcohol, because it is, in terms of what we culturally expect to be no alcohol, it is no alcohol. But I think that people understand that a 0.5% beer or lower is essentially not going to touch the sides in terms of intoxication. I mean, it barely touches the side at 2% or even 2.5%, because you're able to process that alcohol so quickly. So it's... I don't know. I'm surprised but pleased that the BBPA has taken a stand on this one, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a good thing. I was talking, remember my conversation I had with you where I said I'd solved Cask's problems and how we're going to market it?
Yeah, why don't you put that out in the public sphere, see what comes back?
Well, I was pondering at our live show the other day. Shout out Pembo, and shout out 5 Points, with a fan of Cask and a fan of the show. We were talking about the image of Cask and everything. We were pondering. We're aware that you are able as a 16-year-old to drink in a pub, if you're sat at a table and eating food. So it's if you've watched The In-Betweeners, they famously go into a pub and like order roast dinners and then like pints of whatever, and tell the barman to kind of get something for himself when he orders loads of like double vodkas or something wild. But we were saying if we were to make like a table beer strength Cask beer that you were able to buy at 16, that was around the 3% mark, could it be a good option to kind of responsibly get young people used to drinking alcohol like they do on the continent? Many other countries around the world, it's not kind of frowned upon for younger people to drink alcohol with meals. In fact it's pretty normal. When you sit around a table with family, you are drinking wine and such, which is a much stronger percentage. So we were pondering and posturing whether, if cask could be a way into responsible way of drinking, and also getting people to appreciate what cask has to offer, and also I guess the price point would be quite formidable for a lower alcohol cask on the bar. That I, I'm not going to say it out loud, Johnny, but it could be like a pocket money sort of pint. That's bad. We could call it the pocket money pint, but
I think you need to call the beer pocket money. Yeah,
pocket money, maybe pocket money. But
pocket money pale. It's got
pocket
a
money
nice
pale.
regional cask ale ring to it.
Obviously, all this sounds incredibly responsible when I've just said that, but I do genuinely think that there is a stigma around drinking in Britain, and there are lots of problems with binge drinking. Young people, certainly when I was growing up, most of the people that I went to school with were drinking at 16, if not earlier. They were drinking at parties and drinking in parks and other places which weren't particularly safe. Weren't being monitored by adults or anything like that. And, people came out the worst from some of those experiences. And, like reframing it into a pub or a restaurant environment, or even on the family scale at home, I think there is a serious kind of like case to be argued that, it's a better place to consume alcohol than, somewhere where you're kind of left to your own devices and you might go a bit crazy. And it also takes a lot of the mystique out of it, Johnny. When you're young, you want to experience new crazy things, taboo things that seem dangerous and like, wow, irresponsible or whatever. But it should just be kind of normal, in my opinion. But so that was where I was going with that. What are your thoughts on the matter?
I mean, I think that people should be able to order alcohol at 16, 100%.
There we go.
I think for the exact reason that you say, when you're trying to drink underage or drinking in unsafe spaces, it's not regulated, there's no adult around going, I think you've had enough, there's nobody that could get you home if you get into trouble or drink too much when you're in a park. So I think that if we know that kids are going to drink, they should be doing it in licensed premises where it's regulated. And I also think that we should add to that the fact that if you can only have cask, then you'll spend the first 2 years of your life drinking in pubs drinking cask, and it's a brilliant way to do it.
Right. This is. I think it's a genuinely pretty good idea. I mean, it does. I can see the headlines now that it's sensational.
Oh yeah, it'll be trashed. It'll be trashed by the press.
But I genuinely think it would probably stop like a lot of antisocial behaviour, and it would reframe alcohol consumption to young people and what it means to drink it. You're not necessarily drinking to oblivion because you don't know what you're doing, or it's unregulated and all the rest of it. If it's in a safe environment where you're drinking something that's not very strong, you can kind of treat it more of a social thing. It just feels more responsible to me, Johnny. But I could see it getting totally trashed. There must have been people that are trying to put this through.
It will never happen in this current climate of public health concern around alcohol as well. Anything that would increase the amount that is being recorded as being drunk by young people would just you'd never even get through the door of Parliament with that petition.
No.
So it's a nice idea, Bradley, and I think it would have a positive benefit to the world and indeed to cask. But pocket money pale is going to remain a dream of us and likely a lot of 16-year-olds around the world. Local people collecting hops in their gardens, Bradley.
Pretty nice story, right? I haven't got it up. It's on a different browser window. God damn it. Good link though, Johnny. Nice link there. Let me just open it again. So community hop growing scheme set to expand. This I'm off to Margate at the weekend, and this is something that's happening in Margate and the greater Thanet area, the Isle of Thanet, which means the Isle of Death in Roman. Thanet, Thanatos, I believe, means the dead in whatever ancient language.
Latin.
Yeah. that one. Yeah, but it's a pretty cool scheme. It's called Hop Along Thanet. It's one of a number of community hop growing groups that are kind of all across Kent. This one's
All
got
across the UK, really.
all across the UK. Yeah,
I think there's quite a big one up in Worcester and maybe even Manchester. I think there's one.
Yes, I believe you're right. This particular group, Hop Along Thanet, have got over 50 members, and they've planted over 150 hop vines in their gardens and allotments across the Thanet area, that's a lot. That's a decent amount, isn't it? 150 hop vines. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're like full size, but that in my head that sounds like a fair amount of hops. And they get together when it's harvesting season. They all get together and then they brew the beer with a local Margate-based brewery, which I'm presuming, if they're saying Margate-based, it's probably North Down Brewery, because I can't think of any other ones, or it could be Ramsgate Brewery, I suppose, but I'm guessing it's North Down Brewery. But yeah, it just looks like a wonderful thing to be a part of. I've often thought about growing hops in my back garden, and I have actually got friends that do grow hops in their back garden. My dad was a hop picker as a child. That was his family holiday. He'd go off to Kent from Brixton with his family, and they'd stay in a hop shed and pick hops. Child labour, really. But we used to drive to Goudhurst and these other places in Sussex and Kent to go and look at the sites where he used to stay. But I think it looks amazing. It looks like Jim Broadbent is in charge. I don't know if that is Jim Broadbent, but he's a spit image of Jim. But I just think it looks great. I'd love to go and make a film with these guys, and they're also doing this in collaboration with the University of Canterbury.
Yeah, so this is the news angle, isn't it? That the University of Canterbury's got involved, and they're going to add 20 plants to their
on the campus.
To their campus, yeah.
Yeah,
so that's very cool. So now there'll be 170 hop vines,
which is getting up there, isn't it? I don't know when it becomes a yard, but presumably can't be a yard all over the place. It has to be kind of together. But
I mean, 20 plants isn't even a line in a yard.
Yeah. Okay.
You'd need many hundreds of hop vines to make a yard, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's still pretty impressive, Johnny. I'd love to go and make a film. If any of you out there listening know Hop Along Thanet, or are involved at the university, we'd love to come and make a film at some point. I think it'd be a wonderful thing to do.
It could be. It's lovely to see these grassroots community things, particularly when it comes to things like hop growing, which are, as Chris Morrissey, the founding member, says, it's more than a hobby. It's an involvement in historic Kent tradition. And as this week's episode has talked about a little bit, it is a dying tradition. We're down to 1,500 acres, can't remember which one, of hop growing in the entirety of the UK. So it really is a significant. It could have a significant impact. Essentially, lots of homegrown hops. So yeah, I mean, my garden definitely doesn't get enough sun. Gets enough rain, but probably not enough sun to grow any hops in it. But if I ever move, there'll be a little part of me that's looking at the garden going, could I?
Yeah.
Could I? Right, so that's all the news for this week. I think you'll agree. There's some positive news in there.
There is some positive
the BBPA playing around in that, and some hop growing, and some horses getting shot in the head. Brilliant. So this week we've had a busy week, haven't we? We had one of the busiest shoot days we've had in a long time. In not one, not two, but 3 exciting locations.
Yeah, it was a bit of a wild ride, to be honest. The oldie mitre with our man Steve. Shout out Steve. Absolutely, and what an amazing venue that is. What an incredible pub that's half a millennia old. Kind of off of the diamond encrusted streets of Hatton Garden, down a Dickensian alleyway, or several alleyways. And it just looks like, it's just like Dickens' mad looking place that's totally unique and grand, but also kind of homely. Incredible pies. Great cask, absolutely great cask, which we
Oh yeah, great pies. Yeah, we had a great pork pie. I was thinking, wait, we had a toasty. No, we had a toasty and a pie.
We had a half of a pork pie, which was still massive.
Plenty of pie.
The whole pie must have been a head size, I think. It was very, very good, and what a fantastic place. And we did some experiments, didn't we? Which I don't know if we
did, yeah.
Yeah.
So Steve and his team look after their cast beautifully, and we had some absolutely cracking London Pride. And he put on a fresh barrel for us, which was also very kind, to make sure it was in tip-top condition. And as a result, we put London Pride through a sparkler, folks. That's what we did. And we compared it to London Pride not through a sparkler, the way it should be. And we're using that as essentially like the final scene of an episode of Keep Cask Alive that's coming at you in a couple of weeks, which is all about the perfect pour. So within that, we're not shying away from probably the two most controversial topics in cask ale, which is use of the sparkler and use of isinglass.
Yep.
So as part of that episode, I went up to Burton-on-Trent to AB Vickers, who make isinglass and supply many of the UK's best cask ale breweries, and learned about the history of it, the application process. The application of it and the process of the isinglass has within the beer, which dispelled, I wouldn't say a lot of myths, because I don't think people ever really thought about isinglass beyond the cliche of it being fish guts, which it's not. And certainly by the time it's in the beer, it couldn't really be more divorced from its origin of fish more than it is. It is essentially a pharmaceutical product made of collagen. But all of that is in an episode in a couple of weeks. And I'm very excited about this episode because it's got, so far, everything that we've told has been stuff that we have either addressed in a different way before, in locations that we've potentially been to before, just pulling it together into a new narrative. This one, 3 new locations, 3 new topics. And one of those locations is the most Instagrammed pub of all time.
Sure is. I mean, are we going to talk about? I guess we can talk about it a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, talking of like sparklers, it's in London. It's in Piccadilly. They I guess they call it Soho, but it's kind of just off Piccadilly. We're talking about the Devonshire, with Oshin, the very famous publican and restaurateur and all round like just whiz kid, I would say. Of just being super awesome at running an establishment, and he's a huge cask fan. He's serving Timmy's down south on a sparkler next to London Pride, obviously not on a sparkler, and he's pouring absolutely delicious, wonderful pints. In the most Instagram pub in the world, which is famed for its Guinness pour. But honestly, the cask was absolutely impeccable.
Yeah, I think what really impressed me about the Devonshire, so we've had dinner there, lunch there with, actually Fuller's took us there when we were pitching Keep Cask Alive around about this time last year, maybe a little bit earlier. So we had lunch there and it was fantastic. But I've been a little bit cynical, I think it's fair to say, of the pub itself. I think people by now know my feeling about Guinness, which is essentially I like it, but people talk about it too much. But what was really impressive is that while they're really known for their Guinness pours, the care and attention they put into their Guinness is applied to absolutely everything. So while we were there, obviously, we won't spoil too much about the cask, but 3 great cask beers served beautifully, either on sparkler or not, depending on the origin of the beer. So they serve Budvar as sort of their main lager. Did you see the Budvars going out, Brad?
Do you know what? I wasn't watching for Budvar going out. I can't say I did.
The Budvar was going out. It was on a Luca tap, and it was going out with at least an inch of head on it. Beautiful creamy head.
Amazing.
So they were pouring it correctly. So it was the attention to detail that went across every pour. Guinness, although the Instagrammers have given Guinness the special attention, every part of the setup of that bar is fucking on point. and stood behind the bar as I realised all of this as we were filming. Made me realise I'd been dismissive.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty remarkable what they were doing. And then obviously, we went down and we saw how much Guinness they serve, and how much cask they still serve a huge amount of cask, as well, and quite a lot of Budvar as well. But also, they've got their own, they're baking all their own bread in house. They've got their own butchery on site downstairs. Like you walk past it to go to the loo. Just like they've brought everything in house to have as much control over it as possible, and it is just incredible work that they've done. And I've gone from believing the Devonshire was a great restaurant with an overhyped pub to just iconic. It's just great.
It's kind of beyond a pub or a restaurant, isn't it? Because the attention to detail, and like I was describing it to family, and friends when after I'd been there and seen, what's going on downstairs, and they've got 2 full-time butchers that are going out and selecting the meat, and he said this is the best meat I've ever worked with. They're aging up all the steaks and everything in the room. I mean, the room was absolutely insane that had all the steak in, but they're making their own Iberico pork sausages that you can get a sausage on a stick.
Yeah, we've got a great shot of you eating that in the video.
Yeah. Oh, great. Awesome. And then, we just saw someone shucking, I guess they're not oysters. They were what are they called? Not clams. Oh, God. What are they called? The little guys. Anyway, they were preparing seafood. He was saying they get through loads of langoustines.
Oh, scallops
lobsters,
you're thinking of. Sorry,
scallops, everything. Everything was super fresh, absolutely incredible. And the sort of thing you'd see walking around a legendary hotel, I would say, that has everything in house. It was like, it was like being at a fancy hotel, is what I would say.
I think you're right, but I don't think we should say it's beyond the pub. I think it's certainly the bar side. It's what pubs should be doing, and it shows what incredible quality and impact you can have if you do everything right.
Indeed,
it is, and people just don't do that with cask, lager, or indeed to some extent with Guinness.
Yeah, it's a class act all around, Johnny.
Yeah.
We got to go in the celebrity bit at the back, didn't we? Which was pretty cool. Lots of amazing artwork on the walls.
Yeah, real collection of beautiful art.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Just awesome all round. Great beer, great sausages. Go there. Go anywhere actually. But
go there. Yeah,
go there.
Just go to the pub, but go to that pub and just see the focus they put. And it's what really it was like, entirely different ways of eat, and from entirely different parts of the world. Britain, Ireland. Sorry, not entirely different parts of the world. Different drinking cultures and brewing cultures of Ireland, the UK, and the Czech Republic, all given the respect that they need and deserve. I just thought was great to see, and I haven't really seen that in a pub because everybody sort of specialises, and they've seemed to have chosen to specialise in everything, which I didn't really think was possible. So yeah, we were filming there on Tuesday, shortly after we'd been doing our mad experiment. Indeed, treating beer with none of the respect that it deserves at the Old Mitre. And then that night we went to we did a advanced screening of the Harvest episode at the Pembury Tavern.
Yeah, which we love. Obviously, Pembo is legendary. 5 Points pub, absolutely wonderful beers on cask. And we sat down with a good crowd. It was like, I don't know, 30 to 40 people. Seats were full, and we watched the Harvest episode, which was pretty awesome. Yeah,
nothing exposes bad sound editing like a loud pub. So I actually went away and had to edit the video and fix some bits, and there's one bit I missed. So there's a bit where it jumps up in volume for a bit, so I do apologise. But there's, when there's only one person editing these things, stuff gets through, and I'm by no means I think narratively I'm a very good editor, but I'm still learning the ropes of audio and visual quality. So that was kind of humbling to watch on a big screen and hear everybody be like, I can't really hear it. But it was an amazing night, and huge thanks to everybody that came down. They even managed 5 Points to put their Green Hop Cascade beer on, so it was the last cask that they had from the harvest. So that was really lovely to see, and was tasting beautiful still. So it's just an all-round magical night, and these screenings are really, really good fun. The Kirkstall one was so well attended and so much fun. This one was great, and hopefully we're doing one on the 3rd of April, I think, down in Faversham at Shepherd Neiman, which will show 2 episodes because they are in 2 episodes. So there's more screenings to come. And actually, I got a message from Doreen, the amazing lady who sort of does the events at the Pembury, and she sort of said, if you fancy having a wrap party at the Pembo, you'd be very welcome. So now I'm starting to think, we could.
Any
just
excuse
go back there
to eat some more Ace Pizza,
any
double
excuse,
pep, or delicious.
And to drink 5 Points best.
Yeah. Shout out to
Porter.
all of our Patreons as well that came on down. Patreon family. We really appreciated that. And yeah, hopefully, like we say, we're getting out around to do some of these live shows outside of London, where we can. So yeah, hopefully we can, be seeing you sometime soon, in a place not too far away, maybe.
Yeah, hope so. This week's video, let's talk about that. So this was called Harvest Time. It's about essentially following a beer from field to glass, or fields to glass, I should say. So we went to the barley harvest, which I've never experienced before. I've never been out in the fields when harvesting is going on, and that was a really intoxicating experience. Just like really, the air was, as I said in the video, thick with barley dust, and there were animals everywhere, birds, there were deer running around, rabbits trying to escape the combines, which I didn't expect to see. You'd have thought they'd have realised by now that if you sit in there you might come a cropper. But it was just such a pastoral, rural kind of experience, which has been so far divorced from what we do, which is mostly drink beer in cities. And so that's what we were trying to get across, this really strong link between agriculture and brewing, which it's been lost by macro beer, but is still very strong, and in particular in the green hop culture that we decided to focus on for that exact reason. And the hop harvest was great to witness as well. I mean, again, every harvest is different, has a different feel to it. Sometimes it's a mad rush, sometimes it's a bit more luxurious, sometimes the quality is off the chain, and sometimes they're scrabbling around to find really great quality. And this year I think they've had a challenging year weather-wise, but the crop, and particularly the stuff we were rubbing with Greg in the field, was smelling mega.
Definitely. It's just incredible. No one said that our farm manager looked like Daniel Craig, did they? Which I think he does look like Daniel Craig. What do you think?
Does he?
A little bit. Blonde, sort of rugged. A bit Daniel Craigy. Like James Bond Daniel Craig.
Didn't really see that. He wasn't as chiseled facially.
Nah, I'm not saying he is Daniel Craig. Just passing resemblance.
Oh.
Farmer Craig.
No, I didn't really see that. But nice chap, Alistair. Clearly knew his barley. Nice chap.
Yeah. Very cool.
And the quality of what is coming out of Chris seems to be really good as well. I think that the 5 points, the thing we didn't talk about, I regret slightly in the video, is we were talking all about the hops when it got to us chatting to Greg at the hop festival, which is natural because the hop variety was what was different, and obviously we were surrounded by hops. But I wish we talked a bit more about the malt flavours in that part, because that's such a key part of all of the bitters that they make. The use of some specialty malts alongside the pale malts to give it lots of character and give it that essentially Yorkshire bitter kind of flavour. I think 5 points best, from what we've learned from the first 2 episodes, is a Yorkshire style bitter, like brown, a little bit sweet, but loads and loads of hop character. Significantly more than the actual original Yorkshire bitter we kind of had, which was Tetley's, but obviously that's probably been had the edges filed down and watered down and all this kind of stuff to the point that we're at now. Probably very different to what it was back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s heyday.
100%.
Yeah. So, yeah, the video's not performed as well as the first two, which is interesting. Brad and I have been trying to figure out why, because I think it's a more unusual story. It's, I think, a really fascinating story, and it's full of what I think is some great cinematography from Brad in the sky and me on the ground and Brad on the ground. So we're trying to figure out, maybe the thumbnail's wrong or something, but those that have watched it have been effusive.
Oh, 100%, mate. Marcus Shellaby said, it's like an episode of Clarkson's Farm from a parallel dimension. For the thinking...
Without the edge of, this guy's definitely horrible.
Well, yeah.
I don't know whether we come across horrible.
We're not horrible. We're nice guys. For the thinking, drinking man is what he's written. Which I thought was lovely. Like, the comments are amazing in this, as they have been across the series thus far. What a magical episode. Thanks to all on and behind the camera. That was from Echo Sonic Music. Chris Woof Find in 9999. What a name. Said, love it. What a legacy you are capturing, gents. So important. I think it's really nice. Liam Brown said, absolutely fantastic work, chaps. You should really be proud of what you are doing with the series and campaign. Love the agricultural aspects of this episode, a really important factor for brewing as a whole. Without the dedicated farmers, hop growers, and maltsters, our breweries wouldn't have the amazing ingredients we need to brew those delicious pints of cask beer. Well done again, guys.
I can't tell you how these comments warm the cockles of my heart.
I know, right? Pretty...
mad weeks of editing. It's so nice to see it come out and be received in the way that it was intended.
You've even inspired, I think we inspire lots of holidays, Johnny, and we've inspired someone to come home as well.
Wow.
So Alexander Jack said, heart-lifting and life-affirming film. A story to perhaps encourage the boys. My wife and I were choosing where to go as I take a break from my job in Saudi. Could have gone anywhere we wanted. After watching this, I knew it had to be back home. Can't wait, only 3 weeks to go. Thanks so much. So, it's good stuff, isn't it, Johnny? We really
That's
are
a lot of
showing...
pressure. I hope the weather's good.
Well, I hope so. It's going to be hotter than, south of France.
Hotter than south of France, true.
Yeah. Well, you're
know,
right,
I'm sure
Alexander.
it will last.
Yeah, it will last. Well, yeah, of course. It's not like we live in
it will last.
a country where the weather changes every 5 minutes, but yeah, I think it'll be great, Alexander. And I'm glad. Welcome back. I hope you drink some lovely pints of cask. Maybe depending on if your boys are 16 and over, take them down for a pint of pint of
pride and a roast.
Pocket money pints.
Pocket money pale, yeah.
Pocket money pale, yeah. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, well, if the weather doesn't hold, we won't care because we're going abroad, aren't we, tomorrow? No, next week, Bradley.
Next week, Johnny. Yeah, I had a bit of news that linked into that as well, which happened yesterday. I sent you it this morning, which was the fact that the Eurostar was closed, disrupted because they'd found an unexploded World War II bomb. So we are off to Belgium, I believe, next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Next Wednesday,
bright and early.
Upload day. We're off on a Belgium adventure. Overnight, we're staying there 2 days. We're going to be hitting up all kinds of stuff. Can we reveal some of our things we'll be doing?
Yeah, of course we can.
Let's do it. Go on, let's fill us in, Johnny.
I was going to say, do you remember?
Yeah, kind of, but I wasn't sure what the latest is. We are meeting up with our friends, and new friends that are academics and stuff as well. Hopefully,
it's very precise. Yeah,
very precise, Johnny.
Yeah. So we are arriving on Wednesday morning. We're going to the Belgian Beer Experience. So or Belgian Beer World, I think is the name of it. So we're going to be exploring and filming in there. We're then going to be going to Delacenne.
Amazing.
where we will have a chat with the founder, Ivan, we'll make a film about the brewery itself, but we'll also be using some of the interview from that to go into the final episode of our Keep Cask Alive campaign, because we are, of course, there, as you may have figured out, to learn how the Belgians got their beer culture recognised by UNESCO. So we're going to get some tips from them, and of course, some sound bites that we can use when it comes to our UNESCO application from the Belgians who know how important heritage, like beer history is. We'll get some sound bites from them for our campaign, because in particular, Ivan debates from Delacen is a huge lover of cask ale, and when I told him the campaign we were working on, he was just like, "Yes, I will help in any way I can." So that's great. And then the next day, we are filming with a lovely chap called Norbert, who worked on the campaign. Sorry, not the campaign, on the actual application to UNESCO when Belgium made that submission. So he's going to hopefully give us lots of help, and we're going to be interviewing him at Pushenkilde, which is one of my favourite Brussels beer bars. And then we'll probably stay there until our train. And hopefully Wednesday night, we're going to be out in Brussels having a wild time. So if you are Brussels-based, drop us a message. We'll let you know our itinerary if we can. But we are being led by Owen Walsh, one of my favourite beer writers, multi-award-winning beer writer, great man. He's going to take us on a call of his favourites. So
awesome.
Maybe we'll do some social around that, so that you can learn what Owen's favourites are as well. So yeah, busy week, and obviously because we're away on the Wednesday and probably at 5 p.m. So at 5 p.m. in Belgium will be 4 p.m. in the UK. So it'll be 6 p.m. It's unlikely that we'll be able to do a premiere next week.
Yeah.
Because we probably will be filming at the time. So that video will just go live as per usual at 5 p.m. On Wednesday. But yeah, I won't be in the chatting away to you for that one, but I'll hopefully be back the week after to do it. Because it's been really nice to see those comments roll in real time and have some chats with people. So yeah, next week, 5 p.m., the video goes live. The title of the video is Keep Cask Cool. And it is all about ways that we can make, or rather keep, cask ale relevant to society and indeed to drinkers who I guess perhaps look for something a little bit different these days from their beer. So some really exciting stories there. We're back at the Hop Harvest, and then we're off to Brighton Football Club and indeed to Harvey's Brewery. So it's going to be a really unusual, really great episode, I think, and I'm very excited to see what you all think of it. And that's live on Wednesday, and of course we'll be back for Friday 5 p.m. Next week. Maybe we'll record it in Belgium or something, give it a little twist, because probably we won't want to speak to each other on Friday, having spent 48 hours in each other's slightly inebriated culture. Slightly inebriated company, that's the word I'm looking for, pockets. So until next Wednesday, we will be drinking in beer gardens, and Brad will be looking at horses. And I think that's a pretty good weekend. So yeah, see you on Wednesday. Love and beer. The Bubble and Friday 5 p.m. podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food, and homebrewing. Love and beer.